Christmas is coming. This year, I get to host our extended family's Christmas party, which I am super excited about. But I know it's going to take a bit of planning. So, here are the 5 steps I'm going to take to make sure that it all goes off without a hitch. So for step 1, you're going to make a list of everything you'll have to do before guests arrive. This list will include all the food you'll have to make, all the errands you'll have to run, and the chores you'll have to do. Once you've made a list of everything you have to do, it's time for step 2. We're going to divide this list into 3 separate categories. Category number 1 will be all the things on your list that you can do days before guests arrive. Category number 2 will be all the things on your list that you can do hours before guests arrive. And category number 3 will be all the things that you can do just minutes before they arrive. For our meal, I'm making a big lasagna, I'm making garlic bread, we're having salad, and I'm making chocolate chip cookies. So several of these things I can make ahead of time, like the lasagna. I can assemble that days in advance, and so I'll put that in category 1, and then I will bake it just before the meal. And so I can bake the lasagna in category 3. And our goal here is to see how much of our list we can actually get done long before guests even arrive, therefore cutting back on stress and all the pressure that comes with trying to make everything the same day. When I first made my list, it was pretty long and a little bit daunting. But when I split my list up into those 3 separate categories, I realized I can actually get most of these things done well in advance, making the list much more manageable. Now for step 3. Start working on the part of the list that you can get done days in advance. Right now, it's still several days before my family will get here, and so we headed to the store and picked up some groceries. Now it's the next day, and I'm starting to make and assemble the lasagna so I can put it in the fridge and have it ready for when I need to bake it. And because I started several days in advance, there's no rush, there's no stress, and I still have time to keep up with all my normal responsibilities, like doing laundry, running errands, and all the things that go along with taking care of my 2 little kids. In the fridge we go. Later that day, when I had some more time, I kept crossing things off my list. This time I'm making chocolate chip cookies, and I went ahead and scooped the cookie dough and I put it in the fridge so I could bake it the day of. And I definitely had to do some fridge rearranging as well because of all the food I was making in advance. And at this point, I realized I hadn't seen my little 1-year-old girl for a while. And sure enough, she was hiding in the corner, helping herself to all the Christmas candy that I forgot to put away. I started making my French bread later that evening. I made the dough, I let it rise, and then I shaped it into 6 loaves and baked it so that it would be ready to slice when I needed it. Here are the loaves before I put them in the oven, and here they are when I took them out of the oven. And considering this was the first time I've made French bread, I was pretty excited with how they turned out. Okay, it's the morning of. People will be getting here in about an hour or so, and I had plenty of time this morning to get ready, take a shower, curl my hair, all the things, and I have not had a stressful morning whatsoever. Guests are starting to arrive and we are ready. My aunt is the one who brought breakfast, and she made muffins, brought pastries, and we had sausage and Christmas punch. Later in the morning, we exchanged gifts, we played games, and we just kind of hung out. At this point though, it's still hours before the big meal, and so I started on step 4, which is getting done all the things that I can get done hours before the meal. This meant slicing bread, putting garlic butter on, and then I also baked all the chocolate chip cookies that I had already scooped the day before. And my dad and a couple of my cousins were having so much fun at this point that apparently they couldn't take it anymore and had to take a nap. But I am glad that I started on buttering the bread and baking the cookies hours before the meal because it took me a lot longer than I thought it would. I even ran out of butter and had to ask my brother to go get some more, which again, I'm glad I started buttering the bread hours before the meal, or it would have resulted in me being late with the meal. And now it's just a few minutes before the meal, so now it's time for step 5, which is, you guessed it, getting done all the last minute things that you can get done just minutes before the meal. So I toasted the garlic bread, got the lasagna out, got serving utensils to go with everything, got the drinks ready, etc., etc. And as you can see, I definitely wasn't doing everything by myself. My mom's the one that brought the salad, my grandma brought an extra dessert, my aunt is the one who brought most of the breakfast, and my mom also brought ice. And so if you have family members that are willing to help you host, then that's all the better. Here's the finished meal. We all really enjoyed it, and even though when everyone was done eating, I realized I had made way too much bread, in my opinion, it's way better to have too much than too little. After the meal, everyone hung out for a few more hours, and then they got ready to leave. If you're considering hosting, I highly recommend it. It's so much fun, and it's a great way to show people you love and care for them. And while I was off doing something else, the ladies in my family actually cleaned up the entire kitchen for me, so it was super nice to already have a clean house after everyone left. Anyway, those are the 5 steps I use whenever I'm having people over. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching!